So this is going to be our first look at using weights. Now weights are really great because they deliver load to the system, and basically our system has to figure out the best way of supporting that load that directs the load down into the floor, so we're not accumulating pockets of tension within our system. We're directing it as directly as we can into the floor. So our most basic weight movement relating to the floor is one of just swinging the weights backwards and forwards. Now a lot of people, when you start doing this, including when I started, it was really hard to let the weights just do the work for me and get that push off from the floor. So a lot of people, when you start, this is often how it's done. It's kind of like trying to move the weights with muscular force like this, which is really just causing a whole lot of contraction in your body without much throughput of power. So the best way to start off, that I find, is to just start getting used to bouncing your knees like this, and then just push the weights out a little bit forwards and just let them rock. And then, so what's happening is we're just transferring that bounce in our knees through to the weights, and the weights are just taking on a momentum of themselves like this. Great. So as the weights come forwards, we're lazily just leaning back, and as the weights come back, we're lazily just leaning forwards. So I'll just emphasize that a little bit. And the more you lean into it like that and bounce, the more those weights will just carry the movement for you, and it's just like you're lying back into the swing of that momentum. That's it, lovely, great. So let's progress that. Let's let the weights swing out forwards, and instead of letting them rock back in a low position, let's just flip them up and catch them on our shoulders. Now a good way to get up-down movement, again, from using our push-off from the floor, again, when you start, what a lot of people will do is they'll use muscular force again to get those weights up, which is quite hard work, and end up there with quite a lot of strain in the shoulders. And then to come down, it's sort of like you'll try to control it with muscular strength, okay? There's another way of getting those weights up and down, which is a lot easier, and it's again by using the relationship of our body with the floor. So let's start this off by bending our knees, and as we straighten our knees, which is giving us a bit of a push off from the floor, let's straighten our arms. So we do that as in one motion. And as we bring the weights down, we're bending our knees. That's it, and just catching them. So straightening the knees, straightening the arms. So just get a hang of that coordination. That's it, good. Now another way to do that, to really emphasize that bounce that we get, that sort of kick-off that we get from the floor, is to throw in a little bit of a jump. And you see this with some weightlifters, if the weight isn't tremendously strong, they do, it's almost like their feet almost disengage with the floor. So I'll just show you what I mean. So what I want to do is basically just start off jumping on the spot. And as you notice, when I jump, those weights just want to kick off my shoulders a little bit. So just jumping, and this time as we jump, we're going to get those weights up like this. So jumping, and to come back down again, rather than controlling them down or even just bending the knees down, what we're going to do is we're going to jump, and then as we come back down to earth, we're going to let the weights come back down to our shoulders. So it looks like this. So jumping up, and as our body comes back down to earth, so do the weights. So jumping up, throwing up, jumping up, and as we come down, the weights come down. So give that a bit of practice. And it's fun to try that, pushing one foot out in front of the other as we jump. So it looks like this. As we jump, we take one foot out in front like this. So jumping out and then jumping back in. Jumping out and jumping back in. So you can try that to either foot. So that's getting a basic up and down push off from the floor, and a basic swinging with a push off from the floor. Let's focus our attention a little bit more on the swinging with a little bit of lifting as well thrown in. So we only need one weight for this one. So for some people you might want to just start off with a 1 kilo. 3 kilos is still very light once you build up to it. Let's experiment with swinging this weight side to side across our bodies for a start. So we've already done the forwards and back movement. Let's do a little bit of side to side swinging. Now again, just let the weight of your whole body swing, and you can even, if you like, throw in a little bit of pulsation through those knees. That's it, good. And then we're going to do the same thing, swinging the weights behind us. So it's a little bit like trying to throw something off your hip. Hip goes out, and you get that hip kick out by pushing into the floor with mostly through the opposite foot. Well, actually it's through this foot. It's through both feet, but it's entirely coming off the floor. So the muscles in these arms aren't really doing any work. They're just like loose pieces of string dangling and getting thrown out from the kickoff that I'm getting from that knee, spring in my knees. So we've got this swinging behind our body, and we've got this swinging across the front of our body. Now, the next movement we want to try is a throwing movement with the weight. So I'm going to bring this weight up to my shoulder, and then I'm going to throw it across my body like this. So I'm going to turn my body and just throw it off my shoulder and let it swing back, and then I bring my body underneath it and catch it again. So it looks like this, just using that push off from the floor to kick that weight across, let it swing back, get my body underneath it and catch it again. So across and catch, across and catch. So we can do that in reverse. So starting off with that swing across our body, we can, as the weight swings back towards us, we can flip it up and bring the body underneath it here and catch it and take it back and let it drop off behind us. Let it swing through and get our body underneath it, catch it with the shoulder and take it back to our back position and let it drop off. So we've got our forward throw, bringing our body back and catching it, and we've got our backward throw, which is bringing the body forwards underneath it and carrying it back. Let's see if we can combine the swinging across the front of our body, swinging behind our body, and combine those two movements with some throwing. So I'm going to swing it out this way, get my body underneath it, and throw it forwards across my body. That's it, lovely. And then take it back behind our body, catch it, and throw it across our body. Let it go behind our body, catch it, throw it across. Get underneath it, throw it across, let it swing out, catch it and throw it across. Lovely. Good. So let's see if we can reverse that. Letting the weight come forwards, get underneath it, take it across and let it out and swing back. And then swing forward, get underneath it, carry it back, let it drop off and swing out. So swing out, take it across the body, catch it, take it back, let it swing out. Whoops. Right. Now let's see if we can combine the forwards throw, the backward throw, and the swing forwards and the swing back. So let's see what that looks like. So swinging it out, catch it, throw it across, bring it back, throw it out. Get under it, take it across, swing it out, catch it, throw it forwards. So for me, already, this weight is feeling too light. I usually actually like to do this with about a 7 kilo. So as you get more comfortable with the movement, you'll find that a heavier weight is easier to work with because it just creates so much momentum. In fact, I'll just quickly show you the difference and you'll see how much more movement the momentum creates. And I'm not feeling like I'm controlling it nearly as much. I'm just I'm letting my body just fall into the direction of where the momentum is taking me. So getting underneath it, swinging it out. So that feels a lot easier for me. I'm not having to control the movement. I'm getting a little bit more sort of swing, a little bit more sensation through my whole body. And I'm just kind of dropping into that lovely momentum that swinging weight is providing. And I'm basically directing the momentum with just wherever I point my body, and I'm directing which way the movement goes through my feet as my feet push off from the floor. So please have a play with the weights. They're wonderful for getting a beautiful wave-like movement, and wave-like movement is really helped when you have a little bit of weighted bias, swinging one way and another way, leading the movement, and calling on that spring system within your body to go just so far and then recall back the other way. So the weights are really good for providing that weighted bias to swing things from one position to another. And also the weights help deliver loading right down to the feet so that you feel a little bit of a stronger connection and relationship to the floor, which is providing, again, that elastic push-off. As the weight pushes down into the floor, our body loads up with that spring loading action, and then it recoils backwards. So weights activate our spring mechanisms, they activate all that beautiful freeing, body-freeing wave-like movement, which is only possible in a body that's freeing itself from pockets of tension, which wave-like movement will provide for you. It's a beautiful way to connect your body and to dispel those localized pockets of tension that keep our bodies rigid and in a very poorly organized, distorted shape.